What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. Today, we're going to be following up the video from yesterday, where I was talking about the secondary Sporelacer Kitgun. We're going to be going over the primary Sporelacer Kitgun today. And I've never actually made a video on this specific weapon and a specific Kitgun, because the Sporelacer secondary is just basically a Brahma Tsar shot, explodes and shoots a couple like mini shots in the area. This thing is actually completely different than that. So we're going to be going over today. It's a potential red crit shotgun, AoE shotgun as well. So we'll be talking about that red crit possibility. And this thing's actually pretty fun and satisfying to use. So I am going to definitely recommend it to you. But the build has a lot of forma on it. So maybe not at the same time. So before we get into it, make sure you're subbed to the channel and all that stuff. Thanks for all the support, guys, lately. It really means a lot. Super happy with how the channel's going nowadays. And it's all because of you awesome dudes. All right. So, the Sporelacer Primary. It has a specific name, which, you know, it was a moment that we were thinking about this name. So, we've got Nerf Me Harder Ballus with 35% base crit chance, 2.3 multiplier, 3 fire rate, 11 magazine, and a 1.7 reload. Keep in mind, you're going to be running probably primary merciless on this thing, so that reload speed will be definitely lower. Low status chance. This is the max crit, max damage version right here with Tremor, Sporelacer, and Splat. This thing is a shotgun that uses shotgun mods, obviously. You fire this thing off, the explosion bomblet will bounce around. It's a bouncy explosion shotgun, pretty much. If you ever used the Trumna's alt fire, think of it kind of like that, but not exactly the same. The direct impact of shooting an enemy with this thing is going to do causing impact damage, and it will technically also take your modded elements into account. And the explosion radial attack will also deal toxin damage, taking your mod elements into account. So, I'm going to actually give this thing higher potential status application than the secondary version of the Sporelacer, because of the way you're going to be using this thing. As I said, you fire it off, and as you can see right there, the explosion shot bounced once. Blow up, bounce. That's going to be, and the way you're going to be using this, it's not really, the AoE is much smaller, as you can see right there. This thing also can't use primary Firestorm, or prime Firestorm, or prime Fulmination for that matter, because it's a shotgun, and shotguns aren't allowed to have AoE increasing mods for some reason. So, the way you're going to use this, you're going to be shooting enemies a lot more directly than you would be using the Sporelacer secondary with. So, let's get some merciless stacks here. I'll show the build in a second, just, kill the trash ads. And we're going to show some level 420 gameplay because, it's just as relevant as level 999. So with no Riven, you can technically one-shot these guys. Now, this is with the Vigilante mod in our Exilus slot, which technically makes things go from orange to red and yellow to orange. Now, we have 105% crit chance with just the recently buffed critical delay, I think it's called, or critical deceleration, whatever the shotgun one's called. Gives you a 200% increased crit chance while reducing your fire rate. Now, with this current setup we have of Sporelacer, Tremor, and Splat, the magazine can sometimes be an issue, especially if you have a fire rate increasing ability like Wisp. I really like to use this thing on Wisp, to be honest, so we'll talk about that in a little bit here too. So, this is the Viral Hunter Munitions build. Like I said, if you want to get viral, like lots of viral on this thing, you want to run 2 elemental mods. You don't want to run Toxin and Cold. If you take off one of these or the other one, we'll just show quickly how that works out. It's the same as the secondary version, so I'm just going to put the cold mod in here. Since the base collision of the shot has just impact, it becomes only cold because we're only using 1 elemental mod. It goes from viral because we had 2 elemental mods to just impact and cold. But notice how the explosion shot still stays viral because the explosion shot has built-in toxin. So if you want to get more viral, or more corrosive, if you want to go with the corrosive, but we have a Riven here as well. Look at how good these Riven stats are right here. You want to run multiple elemental mods in here. But the rest is pretty stock standard. We technically also have Galvanized Savvy on here. I'm pretty sure it works. This thing does enough damage that I want to say this does work. Keep in mind, there are still weapons this does not work on, unfortunately. But the rest is a pretty stock standard crit build. So we've got Critical Deceleration. Basically, this mod is just... Compared to Blunderbuss, this mod blows Blunderbuss out of the water, which is the only other crit chance mod for shotguns, so I'd say always run Critical Deceleration, honestly. Maybe on the Kuva Comb, maybe not, because you need fire in the comb. But yeah, definitely run this. Prime Ravage gives you increased crit damage. Technically, it's rank 8, so we're dealing less damage than you technically could. if you max it out. And like I said, the two elemental mods make viral. The viral goes good with our hunter munitions, since this thing is a 105% crit chance shotgun. And if you're running a crit chance Riven, it goes up to potentially 170% crit chance. You get lots and lots of force slash procs with hunter munitions. Galvanized Hell, you basically need to run this because if you have a galvanized mod, run it. Pretty much the multi-shot ones, at least, you need to run this. And Prime Cleanse Grittier. I know a lot of people don't like Bane mods. If you don't like Bane mods, it's okay. We're just going to put Prime Point Blank in that slot. You'll see higher numbers on the Arsenal screen, but you'll be dealing less damage technically compared to if you're swapping your faction mod for the specific faction. And then the Vigilante Supplies in the Exilus slot, that's just going to make it where you're going from basically, like I said, yellow to orange crits sometimes. We have Pax Charge in here for infinite magazine, or not infinite magazine, infinite ammo, and technically, infinite magazine as well. As long as you don't if you control your trigger finger, you'll never actually have to reload this thing, and you actually can't manually reload this thing, so that's part of it as well. There's other arcanes, of course, you could run, but this is definitely the best one for this thing. We've got Primary Merciless. It's an AoE shotgun, so you're going to use Primary Merciless, basically. All right, let's go and get some gameplay on here. Level 420 enemies in a fissure. So we're not doing Steel Path gameplay in here, but I have tested this thing thoroughly in the Steel Path, and I can tell you that it is pretty good against the Acolytes. With the Corrosive build, or even with the viral Hunter Munitions build, you're going to be killing them about 4 or 5 shots. Since the explosion will bounce around, if you get a really good spot where you shoot them right underneath their leg or something like that, and the projectile bounces into their leg, it's going to give you technically you can potentially get lots and lots of slash procs just from one trigger pull of this thing. And it's full auto. Did I mention this thing is full auto? So it's a full auto explosive shotgun. So technically can do some pretty deadly stuff. As you can see this is with my Riven in the gameplay footage right here. With a Riven with crit chance and Arcane Avenger, you are at over 200% crit chance. I think it's about 211. So with Vigilante set bonus and a crit chance Riven and Avenger, you're getting, it's like a red crit stream basically. And that's one of the very satisfying things about using this on Wisp with Breach Surge. I know Breach Surge makes any weapon good, but it just feels really fun on this one. You're seeing lots of red crit numbers. You're blinding them with Breach Surge. When they die, they release the ghost. It just feels like a nice full auto satisfying weapon to use on Wisp, although that can be said for lots of weapons, the Tsar, all that stuff. This thing is definitely not on the same tier as the Tsar, but it is actually really enjoyable. I do find this thing fun. I will be searching out a God Roll Riven for this thing. Of course, you could go more down the hybrid route if you didn't want to just go full crit, but I do feel like this thing does proc plenty of status, and technically the next status potential is pretty low. I know I had someone on the previous video be like, hey, you're not being really fair. The Sporelacer can proc more status if you build it more for status, and that may be true, but this is a max crit version video you're watching right now, and it is basically min-max to go all in the crit, and the status potential is as low as it can go, because we want to get 100% crit chance. That's the same reason why the Sporelacer secondary one was 100% crit chance, is because we went max into crit. Okay, so, and honestly, like I said, it has impact only on the direct impact of the shot, and the secondary shot has base toxin. You really are not getting much bang for your buck going for status chance on this thing, if you ask me. Even if you're going to be going hybrid and losing out some crit chance, not getting your 100%, not getting your red crits, etc., etc. So, mob clearing B, it's above average. It's not excellent. The AoE is very small, honestly, but the fact that it bounces around a little bit is kind of nice. And it's full auto, it's with high crit stats and full auto, bouncing explosions, it technically is, I'd say calling it above average B is fair. So, that's what we're going to go with on mob clearing. Acolyte speed excellent. I'd say it's a very chill weapon to just kill some Acolytes with. It's not on the tier of the Trumna being S tier against Acolytes. I even maybe call the Kuva Tsar S tier for Acolytes too. This thing is definitely below the top dogs for Acolyte killing, but it's definitely serviceable. Very, you can, if you don't want to do Kuva Liches, you don't want to do Corpus Liches, here you go. This thing is buildable from Deimos. It's another one of those, you need basically Fortuna parts and Deimos parts to build it, because it's got the infested chamber from Deimos, and it's got the 2 other parts from Fortuna. I think they're high tier parts. So yeah, overall score B, above average. A weapon that's worth considering, but if you've already got all the meta good stuff, like your Tsars, your Trumnas, your Brahmas, all that stuff, even your Envoys, you could probably skip it. Honestly, I've skipped this thing. Here's some backstory on this. This weapon came out with whatever it was. Deimos Arcana last year, And I only built the secondary version. I did not build the primary version you're seeing on the screen right here because, it didn't sound interesting to me. But here's the nice thing. Since no one was using it, including me, the Riven stats for the primary version of this are actually higher stats than the secondary version. So I'm going to quickly show you what I mean right there. So let's look at my Riven right here. We'll take the weapon grade off the screen for a second. So let's just look at the corrosive build here, which this corrosive build is great against Grenier as well. I'm running my Riven here because we actually have space not to run Hunter munitions. I have 186% increased crit chance, 111% increased stat chance, and minus puncture. Remember how I said it only does impact and toxin. That minus puncture is free. You literally lose nothing on your build by getting a negative puncture right here. But 186 crit chance increase. I go to the secondary version right here, and let's look at the Riven right here. So look at that. We lost 80-something% crit chance and like 50% status chance. So technically, the Rivens are much stronger. Like even this is the easiest way to look at it. 1 dot here. How many dots have we got on the primary version? 3 dots there. So the fact that no one uses this means that the Riven stats are much higher. So let's just let's get some Grenier here. This is a corrosive anti-Grenier build. Let's just give it a shot. So as you see, with that increased crit chance, the red crits are flowing very well. And yeah, we technically have electric on here, but you're not going to see much electric procs because it's got to be a direct impact. There's 1 electric proc right there. And there's no damage over time on this build as it's a corrosive upfront damage build. But as you can see, doing pretty good here. This is definitely more of a hybrid Riven where it's got crit chance increase and stash chance increase. But lots and lots of red crits, and it's pretty fun to use it. So let's just use Zata's Whisper, a debuff, just to see what some max damage out here could be. Pretty juicy. With Zata's Whisper, the bouncing explosion just goes directly back into the bubble and wrecks them. So yeah, definitely a fun weapon, guys. But definitely not a must-have at the same time. If you're hunting Rivens for this thing, I'd say potentially try to go for crit chance, crit damage, multi-shot, maybe even an elemental. Like I said, if you want to get viral on the explosion and viral on the damage of the impact, you need to go with 2 elemental mods, which might influence some things when you're going for a Riven on this thing. So yeah, they're not too expensive though, to be fair. So good luck hunting. Hopefully you found this video helpful. That's probably the last Sporelacer video for a while. We made one on the primary and the secondary. I know some people have wanted me to try this hybrid version as well, but look at this is 7 Forma. And I technically don't even have galvanized acceleration on the Exilus slot. Not that I would really recommend this to you on this Exilus slot, but maybe you could try it out. Should give you increased bouncing on the explosion. So, you technically could try that, but I'm not going to try that because, the Vigilante thing gives you max increased crit. So, take it easy, guys. Hope you found it helpful, and yeah, take it easy. Peace.